Hey, welcome to Outdoor Quest TV. I'm TJ Schwanke, and today we're in Alberta and we're hunting elk. And this is kind of a home court hunt for us. We're hunting actually quite close to home, and not a trophy hunt, anything like that. This is just a hunt where we go to fill a freezer. The property we're hunting doesn't have a lot of cover on it, so the elk really don't spend any time there, but they do come there to feed occasionally. And the good news is we've been seeing elk on the neighbor's property again. We've seen them there actually for a couple days now. So what we're going to do is get out here early this morning and hope they're on the property we can hunt. And sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, but it can be pretty long shooting. I think Vanessa shot her bull at 663 yards this year, which is a long poke. It's something we practice a lot for, and one of the reasons we practice so much for long-range shooting is just because of this elk season here. We don't fancy ourselves long-range shooters for most of the year, but out here it can sure happen. So we'll get out there. Before we head in any closer, we'll test the wind and make a plan. Sure bright out this morning. We're still probably 20 plus minutes from legal light, and you can sure see this morning, but we'll get out here and check the wind. Not much of a breeze this morning though, but a little bit of one. Yeah, we're just a little bit northwest. So I think what we'll do is we'll go up at the south end of the ridge here. So we'll just drive a little further up here, and then we've got a fairly long walk up to the top of the ridge there and glass from there and see what happens. Good thing I have my gate opener with me today.
Why is it that even when you're in the truck and you're like, driving into somewhere, you still talk quietly?
I know, right?
And duck if you see anything?
I know, like we go over this ridge and see some elk, we got a duck, right?
Yeah.
The snow's really melted out here since Vanessa got her bull. It's been a crazy year. It's been a bunch of snow, no snow, a bunch of snow, no snow. So, which I guess is pretty typical for the foothills, but the other side of this ridge doesn't get any sun, so there'll be a lot more snow on it. But we'll definitely make walking up the ridge a lot more pleasant. Okay, let's stop here. Not a big fan of these really bright mornings. The elk typically move earlier when it's bright like this, but no sense getting up there too early. We gotta wait for legal light, and one of the problems here is with all these ridges and valleys and things is the wind is just so erratic here, so I don't like spending any more time here than I need to. So ideally you get up there just at first light, which we will, but it's so bright. I'm guessing it could be one of those mornings where they decide to go in early. I think the last two elk I've shot out here have been solo, and as I told Vanessa, she was my bad luck charm. So we'll see if it works out here this morning. But it's like I say, you just got to be out here every day. This ridge doesn't get any less steep, I'll tell you that.
Everyone has a dream season at some point in their lives.
We've got full freezers, a busy taxidermist, and several animals in the record books.
We sure do. Join us for our best season ever.
Join us on our dream season, season 24 of Outdoor Quest TV. Outdoor Quest TV is brought to you by Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Sacco Antica Firearms, demand perfection. Zeiss, we make it visible. Loa Boots, simply more. Silver Willow Taxidermy, see the difference. Closed captioning provided by Deluxe Wall Tents, made in Canada for Canadian conditions. I'm just gonna head up here about another 20 yards and kind of peek over. We got that wind just absolutely perfectly, so hopefully they're there. Looks like they're on the far side of the field. So let's crawl up and take a look here. They've actually crossed the fence already onto the neighbors. They're just slowly moving there, but it's a big herd. It's a problem with these early bright mornings. The elk just move fast. When it stays dark in the mornings, they'll stay out and feed quite a while. I think when Vanessa shot hers, it was a good half hour after legal light had started and they were still out feeding. So, we're still actually a couple minutes before legal light here and they're already starting to move. The good thing is they typically go up into the hills across there and they'll bed down. So if nobody bothers them over there, they will stay around and hopefully feed out here tonight. It's just kind of a guessing game, but let's just sneak down the ridge a little bit and kind of stay parallel with them. And that way, if somebody is hunting over there and spooks them back, at least we'll be in position to hopefully get them. It'll be the first time they've actually got spooked over there and just come running this way. So sneak down and put the scope on and make sure there's some legal bulls in there too. I think we'll just set up by these rocks and we can see them pretty good from there. And then I just want to see where they go and where they bed. And then we'll decide what we do, I guess. Quite often when they go up, well, actually you can see them from this side all bedded up in kind of that mixed aspen up in there, and it's nice. You can keep an eye on them to see when they start moving, but if they get too far to the north, they got too many ways to come out of there, and plus there's some decent fields actually on the other side of that ridge, so not where I wanted them to go, but I don't know. I think we'll go back to the truck, get it, and then maybe drive about a mile or mile and a half to the north. There's a pretty good vantage point there. And at least watch them for a while. I'm not the most patient hunter in the world, so See what happens. Yeah, this property's about 2 miles long, and we're about 1.5 miles wide at the widest point, so fairly big chunk of property. But these couple trails kind of at least let you get from one end to the other. I didn't have my lunch with me this morning either, so. Or more importantly, Vanessa didn't have her lunch with her. She kind of gets a little hangry sometimes when we sit all day with no food.
Oh, just make sure I've got food and you're good.
I know, I've got a couple extra bars in my fanny pack, don't worry. Outdoor Quest TV is brought to you by Defense Aerosols, bear spray for when your life depends on it. Safari Club International Canada, first for hunters. Alberta Outdoorsman Magazine. Midland Radio's communication for every adventure. Yeah, so we'll just park just right up here and then kind of go down this ridge, and then there's a pretty good spot. I hope we should be able to see almost right into where they are from there, so. It's a nice thing about knowing this property though is it kind of allows you to get in position a little better. But yeah. So we just got to get down there, and then we'll peek over, and then we should be, we're still going to be probably 1 mile away from where those elk were, but at least we'll be a lot closer. Here we were 1.5 miles down plus a good mile across, so that'll get us in position a little better. Well, we'll just make our way up here. An old elk track here, so they've definitely been around. A few of them move through here. Yeah, more elk tracks here even. Well, at least it's a warm day for sitting in the outdoors. Haven't heard any shooting or anything, so I suspect those elk just went in there and bedded. I know, we've watched them do that 100 times, so. But there's a pretty good lookout just right up top here, so. I'm not sure if I'll be up for spending 10 hours there, but we'll see what happens. That's funny, I don't get in here a lot. I don't hunt this end of the property very much, but I think there's been a fair amount of elk moving through here, so.
419.
There's definitely a hit.
He's hurting.
This segment is brought to you by Stony Creek Hunting Gear. It's in the blood.
That was another hit. Faltering. He's going down. He's going down. He's down. He's rolling. His legs are up in the air.
Yes.
Well, TJ?
That was a little bit of a scramble. S20, 6.5 PRC, fast becoming my favorite rifle and my favorite cartridge, and got that Zeiss V6 on here with these ballistics turrets, and you know, for this longer range shooting, it's deadly.
Now, as long-range shooting gets more popular, we're seeing a real resurgence in first focal plane scopes. Now, scopes are either first focal plane or second focal plane, and the difference is where the reticle sits in the tube. Now, in the case of a first focal plane scope, the reticle sits towards the front of the tube in front of the magnifying lenses. In a second focal plane scope, the reticle sits toward the rear of the tube, and it's behind the magnifying lenses. Now, each system has its pros and cons. So with the first focal plane scope, because the reticle sits in front of the magnifying lenses, as you change the magnification, that reticle actually appears to change size as well. So at really high magnification, that reticle becomes quite thick. So if you're shooting long range at a very small target, it can actually obscure that target a bit. As you dial the magnification down to low, that reticle becomes very fine, and it can become difficult to see in low light, especially against a dark background. On the plus side, if you're using a reticle with multiple hash marks, the good thing is that the yardage those hash marks represent never changes when you change the magnification as it would with a second focal plane scope. Now, with the second focal plane scope, because that reticle sits behind the magnifying lenses, it never changes size as you adjust magnification. But, if you're using a reticle with multiple hash marks on it, the yardage those secondary hash marks represent will change as you adjust the magnification, which isn't the case with a first focal plane scope. But that primary hash mark in the middle of the reticle, it never changes zero on either one of them as you adjust magnification. So what does all this mean to the average shooter? Well, for us, for hunting, our go-to scope is this Zeiss Conquest V4. It's a second focal plane scope, and in it, we run a simple Z-Plex reticle. So for ballistic compensation on it, it comes with an MOA turret, but we also use these ballistics custom yardage turrets, and they really simplify things. If you want to use a ballistic reticle that also has wind compensation in it, then you're probably better off going to a first focal plane scope like this Zeiss LRPS5.
Well, we got him all tagged and set up here for a little better look, but actually a decent bull for this area. 3-point general zone here, and elk gets shot pretty young here, so strictly a meat hunt for us. We're about 20 minutes from home here, and this is our fun time. We travel a lot throughout the year, do a lot of pretty serious hunts, and it's just nice to come out here and just have some fun. And basically the first Lego bull dies and goes in our freezer, so pretty happy with this guy though. I like hunting elk when things are calm and cool and collected, That was definitely not the case this morning. Something really spooked those elk, and they were bugging out. And there was quite a few good bulls in that herd, and they were just behind cows, behind cows, behind cows. And I saw this guy toward the back, and finally he just opened up and shot him once, and then I saw he was hit pretty hard and he was kind of lagging back. So gave him one more, and down he went pretty quickly. But shooting that Sacco S20 with, it's chambered in 6.5 PRC. And we're shooting that 143 grain ELDX out of it, and it's a cup and core bullet, but the more I shoot it, the more impressed I am with it. You can probably see on his side there, there's actually an exit hole on one side. So at 419 yards, I get a pass through with one of my shots with a cup and core. So they do hold together and they do penetrate. And we got that Zeiss V6 on top of there with that ballistics turret. So it's a really quick system. And that's the thing out here. I mean, you saw how fast things happened. So it was range them, and with that ballistics turret, it's yardage indicated. Cranked it to 420 yards and shot. It was, literally that simple. Well, other than we practiced with about 1,000 rounds downrange each year, but it is a pretty simple system as long as you're proficient with it. So, beautiful bull. I am absolutely thrilled. This will feed us and our family over the winter.
Outdoor Quest TV is also brought to you by these fine sponsors.